That's
The
right.
middle name? Where did the Willis come from?
Well, I have a feeling that the Bryan family and the Dial family are quite close. There's a Willis Bryan. My middle name is Willis. There was a Frank Bryan. My first name is Frank. There was a Bert and Donald Bryan, and there's a Bert and Donald Giles.
Oh, that's where the name's come from.
And I always figured that wasn't coincidence. I figured that the two families lived short ways from each other, and I figured it was planned that way.
How did they become friendly? Was it your father and Mr. Bryan? Or?
Well, they lived down the road about half a mile from our house.
Yeah.
On Maple Street.
I remember the Bryan house. Yeah.
And Willis and Burton Bryan and the whole family have been coming there ever since. Willis is going back to California shortly. He's got a home in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Well, I was interested in interviewing you, not just to talk about your mother, but your mother, your father, your own memories of childhood and Waterbury Center and that sort of thing. It's interesting to have all the names and dates and everything, but it's also interesting to have some stories and a little bit of human flavor to all this, too. You know?
Sure.
So, whatever you can remember. I'm particularly interested in your mother, but whatever memories you have of your mother, early memories, stories.
Well, when I was very young, she used to even help milk the cows.
Is that right?
She was very good. She could milk quite a lot faster than my father could. My father always figured that he got more milk out of the cows, that she didn't do as good a job, but she did it a lot faster.
Yeah, I never heard that she was able to milk the cows.
Yeah.
Huh.
She was a quiet lady, and she loved her family, and always was doing something for them, helping them out however she could. And she saw that they all went through school and college.
That was unusual back then for everybody to go to college.
Yeah, there was 5 children, and 4 of them graduated from college. I was the only one that didn't graduate. I went 2 years to Middlebury College, and I dropped out and helped my brother through.
Do you regret not having finished?
No, I think things worked out all right. I might have made more money if I had gone to college, but I had a happy life.
But you might still have been on the farm anyway.
Yes, probably would have been.
Would have made a hell of a lot of difference.
Probably not.
One thing that I was impressed with, I don't remember seeing pictures or photographs of your parents when they were younger. I always remember them as old people, because they were my grandparents, obviously. Yeah. And I was looking at some photographs that Lucy has. Your father and mother were very good-looking people.
Yes,
I
they
never
were.
realized that.
Yes, they were. My dad was the strongest man around this area at the time. They had a big anvil at the blacksmith shop here in the center. My dad was the only one that could pick that anvil up without touching his chest and put it up over his head. He's the only one that ever did that around here.
What would that have been, like 300 pounds?
I'm not sure, but it was a heavy one.
So he was a farmer all his life.
Yes. And he played the flute, and he played the, I guess it was the fife, fife that he played, and he played the violin. And he was in the fife and drum corps here at the center, and they traveled around various towns.
Was he a self-taught musician?
Yes, I believe he was. He was also interested in making pictures. He had his own dark room at the farm.
That would have been in the early days of photography, wouldn't it?
Yes. And he was a very good bass singer. He sang different groups around.
He used to like to play cards, too, didn't he?
Yes, they used to, when I was what I can first remember, they used to play 63 key a lot. And then we gradually, I guess we got the first ones
say we, who was we to play?
Well, my Uncle Arthur and Grandpa, and my father, and Gordon Sutherland lived with my Uncle Arthur.
Your mother didn't play cards, would you?
No, she didn't. Never liked to play cards. We used to play at the early hours of the morning, and Uncle Arthur, he didn't have to work for a living, so he'd always say he wanted one more game. And so we'd keep on. He didn't have to get up to do chores in the morning.
Yeah. What kind of interest did your mother have? If she wasn't interested in cards, did she like to read or sew or what?
Well, she sewed some, and she was a very hard worker. She always kept doing something. And she did gardening, helped with that, helped with everything.
How did
She was quite religious. She didn't always go to church, but I remember years ago I was asking her why she wasn't afraid in the dark, walking down the road in the night. And she says that God would take care of her.
that came in handy, I suppose, later on when she became so ill with arthritis?
Yes. There was a time there when she had the arthritis and she couldn't even comb her hair. We used to comb that, but gradually she got better and she could do things like that. She lived to be, my brother figured she lived to, I figured she lived to 94, and I can't remember, but he probably was 93 or 95.
Yeah, he said yesterday 95.
Yeah, I thought it was 94. Could be wrong.
Her friend Ida Perkins died just this past week, wasn't it?
Yes, she was 99.
99. Died on her birthday. My cousin Diane said.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, died on her 99th birthday.
My mother was very quiet about discipline my brother and I very. As long ago as I can remember, one time we were acting up pretty bad. And she couldn't seem to control us too good, so we were out in the yard playing and raising the dickens. And all of a sudden she came out the door lugging 2 suitcases and started down the road. And we figured she was leaving us, and we started crying and running after her. And she did it just to get us straightened out. She never intended to leave us.
How old was she then? I mean, how old were you, rather?
Well, it's just about as long ago as I can remember.
That's one of your earliest memories.
Yeah. Never forget that as long as I live. Scared the daylights out of us.
What was it like to run a farm? That was the turn of the century, 1900, when they...
Yes, we had horses. We didn't have any cars back then. One time, it was 5 miles to Waterbury from our farm. And one time my father took my oldest sister Elsie down to Waterbury. And they were down there a while, and he came back empty. Elsie wasn't in the wagon when he got back, and my mother asked, "Where's Elsie?" And he had to go clear back to Waterbury with that horse, 10-mile round trip.
Because he'd forgotten her?
Yeah, he forgot her.
Was he absent-minded?
I never thought so, but I guess he was that time. Probably had something on his mind.
So, was running a farm back then was probably more of a self-sufficiency kind of farming. You probably raised your own vegetables.
Yes.
Did they sell the milk even then, or?
Yes, they did while I was there, but before that they used to churn, make butter. And
So, did they sell these things locally? Was that the idea?
Yes. We had a room out back we called the milk room. That's where they churned the butter.
Oh, yeah.
But when I came along, we were selling milk. We went to the Boston market, most of it.
Your mother raised chickens at one point, didn't she?
Yeah.
I don't know if they were...
We had about 500 hens. My brother Bert and I used to deliver eggs around town and
How did you deliver
chicken meat. Well, when we had our chickens, we had a We had cars by that time. First car we had was an old Whippet. They don't have any such car now.
Yeah.
And then we had Model Ts. And,
They drive around town delivering, huh?
yeah. My brother Bert and I had a load of eggs in the back of the car, and we went around Watts's Corner, and somebody came down the road and slid into us, and they were declared to be to blame. Did quite a little damage, but never broke an egg in the back of the car.
Tough eggs.
Yes, I guess so.
Well, your mother and father were unusual people, certainly.
Yes.
What,
My mother had an old horse by the name of Prince.
yeah.
She used to go down to center to get groceries and things with. She had a friend named Woodard who lived about halfway to the center, and this horse would turn in there without being told.
He knew the way, huh?
He knew where she wanted to stop. Automatically turned in there every time.
The thing I most remember about Grandma was how helpful she was to people who were in need, whether they were sick or...
That's right. Anybody in the family that had a problem, she helped take care of the situation.
Particularly as she was older. I suppose as she was younger, the kids were at home until...
That's right.
And as they got older and moved away and all, and then they got older, she would...
Yeah.
I remember she spent a lot of time in Connecticut with my father.
Yeah, in later years, she liked to travel around the family. And she'd be with Mary and I maybe a month or so, and all of a sudden, we'd come downstairs, and she'd be all dressed up with her coat on, her suitcases, all ready to go somewhere to see some of the rest of the family.
Yeah.
And after another month or two, she'd be just as anxious to get back.
Yeah.
We always laughed about that. She'd be all packed, ready to go.
So she was pretty healthy up until she came down with arthritis?
Yes, she was. She was never very sick, but and when she finally died, she just went to sleep. No pain or no sickness or anything. She just wore out.
Arthritis was the only major illness she had all her life?
Yes, yes. I don't know whether she ever went to the hospital or not. I never knew of her ever going.
So which one of your parents do you figure had the biggest influence on you growing up? Or were they about equal?
I think my mother had the biggest influence. My dad was a very nice man and a hard-working man. He was sort of like a machine. He just kept going, never stopped working. He'd take an axe and go out in the woods and chop until it was time to come back for chores. And
He enjoyed working, did he?
yes, he did.
Sounds as though he enjoyed working alone as much as with other people around.
Yes, he did. He did a lot of things during his life, but his playing the violin and singing and stuff like that was a little bit before my time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you and Burton came a little later than the other three that were ahead of you, right?
Yes, but I guess there was about a 10-year difference between my older brother and myself.
Or was it that much difference? Yeah. I guess you're right. My father was born in 1904, and you were born, what,
1912. It'd be eight years
yeah.
Then my two older sisters were older than that.
Yeah.
One was born 1800, one 1802, and I guess my older brother after was 1804.
1904.
1904, and
Yeah.
I was born 1912. My brother Bert was 1915.
Right. Yeah, Burton said the same thing. The two of you were closer because of your age than the other three. Speaking of your older sister, I saw a picture of Gladys in that 1920 yearbook from Waterbury High School. That was one of the best pictures I've ever seen of her. That was a nice picture. Yeah, I haven't seen some of these pictures. So it was interesting to me to see them. I'd like to get a good picture of your father and mother. I don't know if it's possible. I'm not sure negatives exist, but
I think I got a negative from my dad somewhere. If I can ever find it. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, well, either that or just get a print of it so you don't lose it.
Yeah. since we moved this spring, a lot of things we haven't found.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
still in boxes.
Burton was telling stories yesterday about how he used to throw snakes on the hay wagon because your father hated snakes
Yeah.
so bad. Did you do anything like that to annoy your father?
No, I don't think I ever did that. Bert was a little trickier than I was.
So you both had to work probably pretty hard.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we kept pretty busy. When we went to high school, we used to have to do chores in the morning before we went.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't have school buses to go to the library with. We had to. When I was going to grade school, we used to call the fellow Peg-Leg Jackson. He used to come around with a horse and buggy, and we'd put our dinner pails on the school on the wagon, and then we'd usually walk back with it to school.
Well, now, who was he? Peg-Leg Jackson. I remember that name.
He lived on Barnes Hill, about halfway up the hill.
Mm-hmm. What was he doing going down toward the school every day?
Well, he takes some of the kids down on his wagon.
Well, did he do that just for the fun of it, or did he get paid for it?
He got paid some, probably not very much. But
he actually had a peg leg, did he?
Yeah, wouldn't bet.
Whatever happened to his leg?
I never did. No, he answered that.
I remember Peg-Leg Jackson because he and his wife moved down somewhere near Rochester, Vermont, on Route 100.
This is probably a different one, I imagine.
I think it was the same one because my father said he knew him, and we'd stop there to try and see him, and he was never home or whatever. One time we stopped, and he and his wife were living there.
Where Herschel Smith was?
I don't know, down in Rochester, Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
Down on Route 100. He must have moved out of Waterbury and gone down there.
I think that must be a different one.
A different Peg-Leg Jackson? It's hard to believe there'd be two of them within 50 miles of each other.
This would be when I was in grade school, which would be in the 20s.
Well, this was in the 1930s.
Maybe you're
Late
right.
30s. It'd be 1939 or 40 or during the war, somewhere along there.
Maybe you're right.
I remember my father saying he's probably an old man by now. He may even be dead.
Yeah.
So I think it was the same one.
Could be.
But they lived in backwoods down there on Route 100 near Rochester, Vermont. And
His wife used to go to auctions, and she'd raise her own bid. We always laughed about that. She'd get so excited.
Oh, yeah. That is kind of that's being overexcited, I'd say. So, well, I wrote down some questions here, but
Okay.
oh, I know one question I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that all of you went off to college back then, well before it was popular to do, and certainly 5 youngsters from a farm in northern Vermont would be somewhat unusual for all 5 of them to go to college. How did that happen? What was the influence there?
Well, I think my mother pushed that.
Why did she push it?
Well, of course, her folks died when she was very young, and she was raised by some of her family. She went to Boston when she was 5 years old, and she never had very much schooling, but she was always interested in reading, and she learned a lot and knew a lot about everything. But she wanted her family to have the advantage of education. So my oldest sister, Elsie, went to Framingham Normal School in Framingham, Mass. And she became a teacher. My oldest sister, Gladys, graduated from University of Vermont, and she taught here in Vermont some, and then she taught in Middletown, Connecticut, and married a professor of mathematics at Wesleyan University. My older brother, Arthur, went first year to Bates College up in Maine, and then he finished up at UVM, University of Vermont. And he became a teacher, and he was principal of Rutland High School. And I went to Middlebury College for 2 years. After I'd been there a year, my brother Bert went to Middlebury. They both went there as sophomores. And I didn't want to go. That was during the Depression, and I didn't want to go into debt. So I stopped going to college and helped my brother go through. And he took a pre-med course there, but he never went any farther in medicine. And he sold insurance most of his life. And I went on the farm after I stopped going to college. I sold for New York Life for 1 year during the 30s. And then my wife and I, Mary and Barney, child, we bought the farm from my folks in 1944. And I farmed for a while, and then when I got to be 50 years old, I retired from farming, and I went selling insurance for Nationwide Insurance. And I retired from that when I was 65. And I went into insurance with my son-in-law for a while, and now I'm retired and driving taxi.
Interesting history. You mentioned your mother's love of education. I remember her buying World Book encyclopedia sets for most of her grandchildren. I don't know if she bought it for all of them.
That's right.
She had that ambition, at least, to provide it for all of them.
That's right.
You know if she ever bought a set for everybody, or every household, or whatever it was? I don't remember.
Well, I know she did for our household and for Nancy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Seems to me she bought a set for June or Marilyn or both of them or something like that.
I think she did.
Yeah. And I was selling World Book encyclopedia. That's how she got started on World Book, because I was selling them for a summer or something.
Yeah.
She thought they were okay, I guess, if I was selling them. One of the other things I was interested in finding out is your recollections of what it was like here in Vermont when you were young. That would have been around the time of the First World War, as compared with nowadays in 1985.
See, I was born in 1912, and the war was around 18, 19, and 20. So I can just vaguely remember anything about the First World War.
Well, I didn't mean memories about the war so much as memories about what Vermont was like when you were young, as compared to what it is nowadays.
Well, at that time we didn't travel very far. We'd go by horse and buggy to Stowe or to Waterbury, but that's about as far as we'd go. And things were very cheap then, of course. You'd buy a dozen eggs for 15 cents or a gallon of milk for about the same price. And raised most of our own stuff. And we'd raise corn and we'd shuck it and take the kernels down to grist mill and make cornmeal. And we used to eat soup a lot and stuff out of the garden. We had the cellar full of potatoes, canned goods.
There weren't any McDonald's fast food stores around, huh?
No, there wasn't anything like that around. We didn't take so much to get by with it back then. Of course, my younger days, it was during the Depression. When I started work, we used to work for 35 cents if you could find a job. People would find work and the next week they'd be out of work. The Depression was, we haven't seen anything like it since. It was very bad. More than half the people were out of work. So it was more or less a worldwide depression.
Well, a lot of people in Waterbury, though, were farmers, weren't they?
Yeah.
So
It was probably, at that time, there were probably maybe 30 farms in Waterbury, and now there's only about 4 or 5.
So at least some of the people were able to survive the Depression by raising their own food, huh?
And we used to make maple syrup as long as I can remember. We had quite a sugar house, quite a sugar place, and the 38 hurricane took about half of our trees.
Oh, is that right? I'd forgotten that. I remember being over in the sugar woods occasionally when I was young.
I can remember the 27 flood. We had a footbridge across Thatcher Brook before the flood came, and we went down to look to see if the footbridge was still there. The bridge was still there, but the brook was gone. The brook was
Changed course?
Yeah, changed course. It was 300 yards from where the bridge was at that time.
Huh.
That's a funny sight. outside because the next morning you could hardly see out of the window. There's enough debris around it.
That's the only really major hurricane that's hit Vermont, I think.
Yes, that
This
was
century?
yes. We had a tornado up on Loomis Hill. Didn't even get into Burlington Free Press or Montpelier Times Argus. So, but there was one garage up there. The only thing left of it was the road that led to it. The garage was all torn to pieces and strewn up across the field. And when that thing went up the mountain, it twisted the trees off. It was sort of path, but not 100 for it.
I remember seeing that when I was here, when I was little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people around don't even know they have one.
You were talking about the changes in Vermont and so forth. Obviously, back then there weren't so many cars, the roads weren't so good. You didn't have electricity and telephones either. Well, you may have had telephones.
No, I can remember when Route 100 was muddy. There was no blacktop and no cement.
Yeah.
And it was just in the spring, you just get mired.
Yeah.
With cars. People, there was one fellow from Shrewsbury that kept his team right there and pulled one car out after another and got paid for it each time.
We're still doing that with the skiers now, huh?
Yes.
What was it like not to have electricity? How did you cook, for example?
Well, we just wood stoves.
So even in the summer?
We got electricity in the early 30s up to the farm. So our nearest neighbor was about a quarter mile away, and so we had to run a power line all the way from there up to our farm, and we had to pay so much a month to pay for that line. So we didn't get electricity very often.
What was it like to cook with a wood stove in the hot summer? Must have been kind of uncomfortable sometimes, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was pretty hot. I can remember before we had flush toilets, we had seats out back, wooden seats to sit on, and different sizes for different sized people.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but
You couldn't buy toilet paper in the store. You had to use newspapers or Sears Public catalog.
Yeah. Those weren't jokes. I remember they used to joke about that, but those weren't jokes.
That's right. That's all you had. They had manufactured toilet paper by then.
What did they do? What did people do before they had newspapers and Sears Roebuck catalogs?
I have no idea.
I remember, speaking about back of the barn, I remember you and Burton used to saw up trees out there, the logs.
Yes, we did.
And then split them.
Yeah.
You must have spent a lot of hours sawing that stuff up.
We had a one-horse, one-cylinder engine that we used to
Yeah, I
saw
remember that.
with.
Was that a gasoline or a kerosene engine or something?
That was a gasoline.
Gasoline.
International. It was just one cylinder. Chug, 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 chug.
Yeah, I remember
We used to put up a lot of wood, big wood piles.
Yeah, the whole barn was full of wood. I remember. Yeah. It was a heck of a lot of work to saw that, and then have to split it too, right?
That's right.
And I remember your mother used to carry the wood into the stove.
Yeah, we used to have to do all of our sawing on wood with two-man saws.
On the wood, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And have the horses haul the logs up to the house or near the barn there, and then saw them up, and then have to split them after that, right?
That's right.
A lot of work to stay warm.
You got warm while you were splitting.
Yeah.
Got warm when they were on the stove.
Yeah, I can remember that old wood stove. Your mother keeping that stove going. First thing in the morning, you have to stoke it, make sure the fire going for breakfast and warm up the place. Yeah. Wonder how we're doing on that tape there. Still going, or we? Well, we're just about out. We can take a break here in a minute.
Okay.
So you've had a kind of a long, interesting life. I remember you were in the legislature. You were chairman of the Agriculture Committee for a while. And
Chairman of the Highways and Bridges, ran for Speaker.
So looking back over your life, what are some of the things that you remember most
The thing that
favorably?
pleased me most about the legislature 251 people in the house, and they have a permanent organization for reunions and things like that, and they made me president of that organization.
Good.
It made me feel pretty good.
Are you still president of that?
Yes.
So you get together once in a while still?
Well, we don't get together very often, but once in a while. I was selectman for 27 years, and I was chairman for 26 consecutive years, which I guess is a record.
I imagine so. Your father was a selectman too, wasn't he?
Yeah. But he didn't want to be very long. He'd rather work up the term.
Yeah. So what do you look back upon with great relish